Hey, it's Mark Sumpter. Welcome to RenegadeSuccessCoach.com. And in this video, I'm going to share with you a few different coaching models that you can use to actually launch your coaching business. Now, there are actually 7 different ways that you can do this. And these are ways that I personally have used and my clients have used. But to keep this video short, I'm going to share with you 3 of those. I'm going to also give you some of the pros and cons associated with using these different types of coaching programs, right? All right, so before we get started, let's talk about some that are probably the most popular, which would be sort of a mix of tele-coaching and live meetings, right? And so what's important when you're using a strategy like that is to make sure that your information is specialized, right? That it is for a very specialized target market. And of course, you kind of want to combine coaching with mentoring, with some form of consulting as well, in order to find some success with that. And then of course you want to make sure that there is a mix of both traditional coaching as well as what I refer to as continuity, and that's where someone's paying you a fee every single month to be a part of your coaching program, right? So let me give you an example of one-to-one coaching. Some examples that you could implement right away. So some of the pros, first of all, of one-to-one coaching is it's a very flexible, program that you can deliver anytime and anywhere. I'll give you a prime example. There was one instance where I had a family emergency. I had to move a coaching call back because of that emergency, but I pushed the date back into a time when I was going to be leaving for a cruise. And I actually delivered the coaching session to a group of 90 students over the phone while I was standing on the deck of a cruise ship before we were able to head out to sea. And so when I say it can be done anywhere, I do mean that it can be done anywhere. And I love the fact, I pride myself on the fact that I can coach from anywhere. It doesn't impede, with me traveling and going different places and staying for a month or 2 at a time. It just makes it really, really easy. It's also an easy way to get started relatively quickly. And quite frankly, there's very little setup and administrative stuff that you have to do when it comes to doing this type of coaching. Now, there are some drawbacks when you do one-to-one coaching. And of course, you're trading your hours for dollars. And that can be really, really difficult, if you are booked to capacity. You're limited on time, which means that your income, can plateau as well. This was something that happened to me when I very first began coaching. And, I was coaching for low fees at one-on-one instances. And I found myself quickly, at this critical mass where I could only coach so many people a day, so many days a week. And if I got sick and couldn't coach, well, guess what? I wasn't earning any income. And so that is a challenge that a lot of newbie coaches face. And that's why I love some of these other models we'll talk about a little later. Also, if you're hourly, it positions you as a commodity. So if you're someone who charges $100 an hour, and let's say that the prospect is shopping other people and they find someone at $50 an hour, then guess what? You lose to that person who's charging the less fee because you've just been compared to someone because they don't see the value in what it is that you do. And again, that's something that coaches, they suffer from that, right? So another model is one of my favorites, and this is group tele-coaching programs. Love, love, love these. So I'm going to give you some of the characteristics of a group coaching program. One is, when you do this, you're literally walking your clients or your students through a process, right? You're teaching them something. This can be done over the phone. You can do it, via the internet, and it can also be done through email as well. Typically, these types of groups can be anywhere from 10 to 50 people. You can charge $97 to $997. And honestly, you as the coach will get better results if you require some sort of a commitment, like a 1-year commitment. For example, my high-end clients who are part of my mastermind groups, who pay a minimum of $1,000 to be in that group, they have to do a 1-year commitment regardless of their level of participation. They're committed for a year, right? And so that's one of the things I love about this style of coaching. So let me give you some examples, and I know we all love, talking about, some different case studies that you can look at when it comes to this type of coaching. And so for me, when I said it was my favorite, it was because it was the first coaching program that I ever launched, right? So it was based on my my own self-study home study course, right? That my customers wanted to implement. So I would walk them through, how to get their first coaching program literally up and running. And, it took only, a few simple steps in order to get that, to work. But we also use the manuals, right, for my programs to help them achieve that. They also got 4 phone calls with me, which was also part of the training. And then, of course, there were Q&A sessions that we did, which occurred, like over a very specific time period, right? So I walked the people through, right, creating marketing messages and their very own information product. And so it was a 6-module program, which I delivered to them over the course of 10 weeks. So some of the modules, you're probably saying, Mark, 6 modules, 10 weeks? I don't get it. Well, some of those modules took longer, right, to deliver, and I'm huge on that. I want to make sure that I don't just give you stuff. I make sure you have, something that really, really works for you and you'll find success with, right? All right, so the other thing is the calls, they were part of the featured training. There were Q&A sessions as well as hot seats. And if you don't know what a hot seat is where I pick someone and we talk specifically about their business, their challenges, their successes, and I help them get to the next level. And then, of course, there's, discussion in, at the time, this was a forum, right? So people could go in and they could post questions, and I would respond to those questions for them. Each one of these students paid $1,200 to be a part of this program. And of course, here's another example, which is one of my clients, and they refer to their program as the Entrepreneur's Day Break Free Boot Camp. Now, this was comprised of 3 lectures. These were all teleclasses. He did 1 Q&A session for each one of those classes. This was inside of a members-only area, and again, it had its own forum. But today, right, we use Facebook groups in order to make that happen. It's a much easier tool to use rather than using, those old forums. And quite frankly, I love those a lot better. There were support materials that he provided. There were checklists and resources that he made available, to his clients. But he also gave them discounts, right, and special offers, on other things that they might want to participate in. For example, coming to a live event, things like that. He charged $297 per person for these 3 teleclasses and the Q&A sessions. So that was the Entrepreneur's Day Breakout Boot Camp. All right, so let's talk about some of the pros associated with group telecoaching. Well, first, you get to leverage your time for more money. For example, if you're doing one-to-one coaching and you're charging $150 an hour, then you can theoretically coach 8 people a day. Crazy if you try to do that, but you probably could attempt to do that. Man, is that draining, because I tried it when I first began coaching and it sucked, right? It was terrible. All right, but anyway, getting back to this, so if you're actually leveraging your time by coaching more people instead of doing, one client at $150 an hour, well, guess what? This type of coaching, you can actually coach 20, 30, 40, 50, in some cases 120 people, and that's what one of my programs currently has in it, at $97. And guess what? In 1 hour, I'm done with all of those clients. Literally in 1 hour, right? So the bottom line is this: you get to help more people. And you should have a coaching program that's accessible to people at a lower price point. It's so easy to run when you're actually putting it together. And then, again, as I mentioned before, deck of the cruise ship, you can work from anywhere when you're doing this. And it is probably one of the most popular formats that you can use in coaching today, right? All right, so next are some of the drawbacks associated with this. Um, the amount that you can charge, honestly, is somewhat limited because, while, people are looking for the information, looking for the content, there really it's not as impactful if people are going to, like, let's say, a live event, right? This kind of coaching also requires more administrative and setup stuff than you probably realize. I have clients who often say, Mark, I want a group coaching program. I want to launch one tomorrow. And I say to them, you're not ready. And they say, what do you mean I'm not ready? So when I start explaining to them all the things that are required in order to launch such a program, even with technology today, there's still a lot of work associated with it. They say, oh, okay, well then maybe I'm not quite ready to launch that. So just keep that in mind, right? Not as impactful as like doing something live, right? Live coaching sessions. And it does require, some administrative stuff and some setup that you must do in order to find success with it. And then the last model I want to talk about, and I just kind of sort of refer to it as live group coaching. This is really, really important. So some of the characteristics of live group coaching. Obviously, it includes live in-person meetings. Your program length ranges anywhere from a few weeks to several months, or it could be like an entire year commitment. And then you're often moving through a process together, right? Studying like your curriculum together. And everyone's sort of kept at the same pace when it comes to learning the information. So I'm going to give you some examples before we talk about pros and cons of this style of coaching, right? So another client, his name's Tony. Tony has a program where he charges $1,500 for 6 months. So, and it's very, very niche specific. So he has 10 or so women who participate in this program, and they meet for half days each month, and they typically do it at some beautiful waterfront, venue. Very beautiful setting. Just a pretty cool program just all around, right? It included 3 private coaching sessions, which were done live over the phone. And then, of course, some of the pros associated with that is it's group related, so you get to leverage your time, right? It's more dynamic experience because it is in person with at least 10 people. And it's often more compelling for your clients when they're able to interact face-to-face with other people who are taking the journey with them at the same time. And then you can really choose sort of what a lot of coaches would say will be like the optimal environment that you can work in, right? And then, of course, some of the drawbacks to doing this type of coaching program is you are literally having to find a meeting space in which you have to pay for. So there's a lot of hassle associated with that. And then, of course, when you are doing something like that, you're pretty much limited to a local market because, one, remember, he's doing in-person, waterfront locations in order to host these kinds of meetings, and they're just a half day. And so people aren't going to fly in from other states for just a half day's event. And so, again, some of the drawbacks when you're looking at doing that. All right, so I've kept this video probably long enough. So I want to cut it off here just to tell you that those are 3 coaching models that you can use literally starting today. But if you like that, if you're excited about that, and you want to know what the other 4 are, there's a link below this video. You can click on that, and I'll help you get access to those other videos as well. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye.